Hi, welcome to my studio. My name's Kris. In this short video, I want to share with you the fountain pen and ink that I use when I do my ink and wash watercolor sketches. Let's get started. So recently I've been asked by a number of people, what kind of ink and what kind of pen do I use for my ink and wash watercolor paintings? First of all, the pen. The pen is this pen here. It's called a Duke 209. It's a very affordable fountain pen. You'll find it on Amazon. I think I purchased it for only about $11. And that is really super affordable. Some fountain pens can cost hundreds of dollars. Here's a little bit more of a close-up of the nib that I use on this Duke 209 fountain pen. You can see it's a fude nib, which means it's slightly curved down there at the very end of the nib. All right, to go with your pen, you need good waterproof ink. I like to use the Noodler's brand black waterproof fountain pen ink. This is a 3-ounce size. It cost a little over $13 US when I purchased it about a year ago. And this is great ink primarily because it won't clog up your fountain pens. One of the biggest problems that you have with fountain pens is you have to purchase the kind of ink that won't clog up the nibs. You cannot use India ink typically with these fountain pens because India ink, which is the most common type of ink, will clog up these kinds of pens because of the composition of India ink. All right, let's go ahead and open up this particular ink. I'm going to show you real quick how to fill up your fountain pen. And let me empty it real quick. I'm going to empty it back into this. You empty, in this particular brand, you empty by turning this black handle at the top of the converter. You turn that in a counterclockwise way, and that will actually empty all of the ink. Now that the ink's out of there, you can see what's inside the converter a little bit better. Let me go back in the other direction. You'll see as I turn it in a clockwise fashion, the plunger here is coming back up, and it will pull ink up into this. Well, I'm not pulling ink right now, I'm pulling air into it because I don't have the nib immersed into the ink. But as soon as I put it down in there and then draw this back up, you're going to see that this will fill with ink. Okay, so again, I'm turning counterclockwise now, and the plunger is going back in here and it's pushing any of that air out. And so you need to have that all the way down. The plunger is all the way down, so you've turned it counterclockwise till it stops. Then you need to put the nib and submerge it in the ink, and then turn it clockwise until it stops, and that will pull the ink up into the converter area here. Let's do that now. So again, I immerse it all the way so that nib is covered, and then I start to turn it clockwise. Can't really see it here on the video, but it's filling that area with ink. See, now doesn't usually seem to fill it all the way. There always seems to be a little bit of a gap here on the amount that it fills it, but this much ink will really last a very long time. And so I don't really worry about the fact that it doesn't fill that all the way. Okay, you see I'm cleaning off the nib, the excess ink that was on the outside there. I always seem to get a little ink on my fingers. Oh well, it comes right off. All right. Now you can see here the ink has been pulled up into the converter, and now I can just reassemble my pen. And I'm ready to start using my pen. Okay, I want to demonstrate to you really quickly the way this fude bent nib, fountain pen nib works. Again, that little bend in the nib gives you a variety of different stroke sizes. If you hold the pen at a real steep angle towards the paper, very kind of straight up and down, you're able to get very thin sharp lines, as you can see there. However, if you hold the pen at a little bit more of an angle, then you're going to see that the strokes get quite a bit fatter. You can, again, very thin stroke and much fatter stroke, okay, by holding the pen at a different angle, okay, a thin stroke and a more thick stroke this way. Okay, I've decided I'm just going to go ahead and draw actually a scene right outside of my house here. I live in the Pacific Northwest, and there are all kinds of beautiful fir trees, and so I'm just going to really quickly use this fountain pen and draw this representation of a tree that I'm looking at out my window. And just because it's a fairly simple form and doesn't take a lot of time to draw. And then once I let this dry, then I'm going to come in and just apply a wash. One thing you have to, of course, do when you're working with ink and pen is you kind of have to work from the, depending if you're right or left-handed, I'm right-handed, have to work from the upper left corner more of my paintings and work down, because you can't drag your hand across the ink while it's still wet. Now this particular brand of ink, this Noodler's ink, does dry pretty quickly. So you're able to go back over it fairly quickly and apply your watercolor wash and that kind of thing. But it does take maybe a minute or two to really make sure it's completely dry before you want to, drag your hand over it or anything like that. I think one of the beauties of the technique of this is you don't have to be exact in, paint between the lines, so to speak. When you're doing an ink and wash, you can be much looser because the black lines of your ink drawing really help define your shape, and for you, the ink drawing does a lot of the work for you. The main thing I want to point out here is that although I only drew this with the fountain pen and ink only a few minutes ago, it's completely waterproof. There's no running of the ink when I apply the watercolor wash over this, and that's exactly the effect you want. You do need to let it dry slightly for a few minutes before you go in and start to apply the watercolor wash. But if you let it dry, again, it doesn't take that long, then you can just paint right over it and you will not get any running of the ink. I hope this was helpful just to see the kind of pen, the kind of ink that I use. If you have any questions about my technique or what I do, this was just a really quick demonstration to show you how to use the pen, how to fill it, what a fude nib is, and how it has varying widths of strokes when you use it. And then finally, just how to lay down a quick sketch and then just do a quick wash over that. It's just a real fun way, especially if you're out and about and you want to quickly capture a scene, sketch it. It's really nice to just be able to draw it quickly with the ink and then apply the wash. If you're interested in future videos like this, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, and the next time I put out a video, you will be notified. Thanks and have a great day.